video playlist is being presented for those who attended the Guy Finter Service Cooperative's I've heard of Google Classroom Now What trainings that were held this summer. I'm Melissa Eckert, a Google trainer. I held those trainings and I want to give you access to those training materials, but I also want to have this YouTube playlist be broken into chunks so you can access just the content you need and not have to go through a 3-hour video. So it's going to be the same content. It's just going to be chunked up into topic. You are going to access this slides deck that was presented in this training by going to bit.ly/GC Now What, and that is case sensitive. So GC has to be capitalized and everything else needs to be lowercase. Once you are there, you're going to navigate to the upper left-hand corner to File, and you're going to choose Make a Copy. That way a copy will be saved in your drive and you can make notes on it. You can save it, and then it is in your drive to access forever. So the first thing that I want to talk about this morning is your Google Chrome browser. Your Chrome browser is a robust browsing experience that is so much more than just a way to surf the web. Your Chrome browser can do a lot of amazing things, and I want to share some of those with you. First of all, you can Google search right from this Omnibox. That's the name for this area where you would normally type in a web address to navigate to a web page. It's the Omnibox. So your Omnibox can do a Google search directly from here. So I could search for St. Louis Cardinals and get a search that is directly in Google. In addition to that, your Chrome browser can do math calculations, it can do conversions, it can set a timer, roll a dice, flip a coin, it can do currency exchange rates. So this Omnibox is so much more than just a way to get you to a web page. I do want to show you, if you've got 5 minutes left until the end of your class period and you want to display a timer so that your kids know how much longer they have to go, you can just type in 5-minute timer and hit enter. It automatically generates and starts a timer for you. If we have to go back to distance learning and you are not sure what manipulatives your students have at home, you can have them use this Omnibox if they need dice. So you can even customize how many sides your dice has. And then they can just re-roll. If this is, a math game that they're playing with their family, they have access to this manipulative. One thing that I do want to show you that's not specific to Google, you can go to deck.of.cards, and it's a virtual deck of cards that your students can use if they need to play a math game with a deck of cards. I mentioned that your Omnibox can do math conversions, so we can go 6 feet, 2 meters. 6 feet is equal to 1.82 meters. So it can do that for you. It can check your flight schedule. It's just so much more than a way for you to browse the internet. Over here on your Google Chrome homepage, I just kind of want to walk you through everything that this Chrome homepage has to offer. Up here in the right-hand corner, you'll see that you have a direct link to your Gmail. You can do a Google image search directly from here. So if I click that, it's going to take me just to a Google image search. And while we're talking about image searches, I want to talk to you specifically about usage rights so that you know how to keep yourselves and your students safe regarding copyright laws. So if I'm looking for images for the St. Louis Cardinals, we're huge fans. You can go to Tools and pop down this little drop down underneath. So when I filter by usage rights, I can go by labeled for reuse with modification, non-commercial reuse with modification, or non-commercial reuse. So if you and your students are searching for an image that can be used on a website or on a slides deck, you might want labeled for reuse. And then your students know that these images are safe under copyright laws for them to be able to use. And that was here under settings. And labeled for reuse, you have these other options as well. You can also filter by time. I noticed that I've got some results here that appear to be not that current. So if I filter by time, I can go anytime within the past month, the past year, and that's not just specific to an image search. You can do these same things with a search just under your all for St. Louis Cardinals. So if you're having students do research and you want them only to use, timely and current research for their presentation or what they're writing, whatever. They have that option here as well. So under tools, I can filter by time. I can give it a custom range, or I can just say, I know that anything within the past year is going to be fairly timely. So I'm going to filter by just results within the past year. If your students know that if you want your students to search a certain website, you can search just for results from any website you want. So I can search for St. Louis Cardinals only on MLB.com. So I typed in site:/MLB.com. Now, all my results that come up are from within the past year and only from MLB.com. Also back here, you have this grid. This is called your waffle or your app launcher. So when I open that up, you can see these are all the apps that I've either added or my district has populated for me. I really appreciate about these that I can drag and drop these apps by the ones that I use most so that, I can customize and put the apps that I use most often up at the top or up on the left so that they're easy for me to navigate to. And then you see this person switcher, this M that's in both of these locations. So when I drop that down, I've got the option to manage my Google account, or I've got the option to toggle between other Google accounts that are associated with this device. Down here, I have my most frequently visited sites. Some of these I added for training purposes. Some of them populated because those were sites that I navigated to most often. The really cool thing about this is that I can add my own shortcuts to this. So I added Facebook for one training. I added Instagram for another training and spelled it wrong. In order to do that, you just type in the name that you want to display here, and then you type in the URL that you want to go to, or you can copy and paste that in. And those will populate down here so that you can navigate to those pretty easily. It's just another kind of way for you to bookmark sites that you want to bookmark. So speaking of bookmarks, you can see all my bookmarks up here at the top. So in order to bookmark a site, I just have to click this little star in the corner and it will populate that bookmark right here on my bookmarks page. So let's say I want to bookmark Loom because I'm going to be visiting Loom website a lot. This is a place where my videos are going to be stored. So I'm just going to click the star in the corner. It says bookmark added, and then I can customize the name of it because I don't want a huge long name. So I'm just going to take that off, and I can either add it to just the bookmarks bar or I can put it in a specific folder on my bookmarks bar. So when I click done, now Loom is bookmarked here. I can manage my bookmarks by this 3 dots menu. In Google, anytime you see these 3 dots, it's a menu with more items for you to choose from. So when I select that 3 dots menu, I can navigate down to bookmark, and then I can go to my bookmark manager, and this is going to show all the bookmarks that I have, and I can remove any that I just don't use anymore just by deleting them. Close that. Oops. There we go. So also specific to your Google Chrome browser is that you've got some keystroke options here. This probably never happened to you, but in the past, I've had students who would close out a tab really quickly as I walked up, and they would appear to be doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And I didn't really have a way to know what they had been doing, where they had been surfing. So if you use the keystroke Control-Shift-T, so I'm going to hold down Control-Shift and T at the same time, it's going to open the last bookmark or the last tab that I closed. So Control-Shift-T. So if I accidentally close a tab while I'm browsing or doing some research for a presentation, which happens all the time, I can just Control-Shift-T all at the same time, and it's going to reopen that last closed tab. I can also go to Control-H, and that's going to open my history back to forever, basically. And this is also where I can clear my browsing data. From this Chrome homepage, under your three dots menu, you have the option under here to open a new incognito window. So this is a new browsing window associated with Google Chrome that doesn't track any browsing data at all. You can see up here it says incognito, but my person switcher is gone. All of my extensions are gone. So now I can browse the internet with no history being stored. You might want to use this when you are, say, at a public library using a computer, or you go to another teacher's classroom and you want to log into your Google Drive, but you don't want to take the chance that you are going to walk away from that computer and leave your personal data available for someone behind you to access. So this isn't storing any browsing data. So when I close this window and walk away, the next person who opens it can't access my history. The web page that I visited is not going to be available anywhere. Anything that I signed into in this window is not going to be accessible to anyone else. The only thing that this incognito window really saves is all my bookmarks. So one way that I use my incognito window all the time is that if I want to share a slides deck, a doc, a Google Sheet, any kind of Google product with anyone else, usually I have mine set for training purposes to anyone with the link can view. But I really like to check those links and make sure that they're going to open for the people that have the link, because there's very little that is more frustrating to me than sending out a link to, say, a Google Doc, and I start immediately getting emails that say so-and-so is requesting access to this document, or I get a text message that says so-and-so can't open the document that you sent them. That just means that I didn't set my permissions correctly, and so they are unable to see what I want them to see. So for today's training purposes, I gave you that bit.ly link, bit.ly/GC Now What, and I wanted to make sure that you were going to have access to that presentation in view-only mode. I did not want you to have access to my original because I didn't want any changes or edits being made to my original. So you went up to File and you made yourself a copy. I don't have that option in an incognito window because I'm not signed into any Google account in this incognito window. So if I made myself a copy, it wouldn't store anywhere because this is not being associated with any Chrome account or Chrome user. But I checked my link, that bit.ly link, in this incognito window to make sure that you were going to be able to navigate here without any issues. So that incognito window is here under your three dots menu. This is not something that I would necessarily want my students to know about, especially if you're elementary like I am, just because that means that they have internet access that I can't track. It's not storing their history. It's not going to allow me to use Control-Shift-T to open that last closed tab. And so they can just browse without leaving any real footprint. Also in that menu, you can access your history, your downloads. We already talked about your bookmark manager. Under More Tools, this is also where I can manage my extensions. Now, my extensions all populate up here. I'm going to do a whole separate video on these extensions. They are absolutely life-changing. I want to show you down here in the corner, I have the option to customize my background. You can see that I have this super cute Malala quote and globe, and I'll show you real quickly how I access that. So I went to the Chrome Web Store, and that's chrome.google.com/web store, or in this apps menu right here, it's going to be this first option. So I search for themes. And actually, this one is specific to a fellow Google guru who I just really love. She is great with graphic design. She is great with Google. So I searched for Hey Ashley G. Oops. Hey Ashley G under themes. And then I looked at it should say, it's because I've been here before, but it should say more themes up in the corner because only 3 populate initially. But if it says more themes up here, you can take a look. And then I chose one of these themes. Actually, I chose a whole ton of them and navigated through all of them before I found my favorite one. She has so many attractive, uplifting themes that every time I open a new tab, I just have this fantastic quote that reminds me why we do what we do every day. So those are from the Google Chrome Home Store. Is there anything else I want to tell you about? I think that fairly covers everything that I wanted to talk to you here on the for the Chrome browsing, for searching Google, and for Google image searches. So I'm going to sign off here, and the next video on the playlist will start to populate.